Welcome to The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lane. Gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and local advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. This is your host, Ken Lane. We are here every week talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. Oh, the weather is just stunning. We are in the peak of the season. Things are waking up. Things are happening. There's been this wave of customers coming in here to Waters Garden Center, at least. I don't know about everywhere, but here, people are they just want to be out. They've been indoors too long. It was too cold, too long, and they just want to. I helped a customer yesterday. She goes, "Ken, this is all your fault. I just want to let you know." I'm going, okay, this is a good friend too, is a guy friend. He goes, "We just came in to smell the flowers. And we're walking out with like $500 for the stuff. I mean, a big garden project, a huge pot, plants, flowers, shrubs, trees that go in this big container garden." He goes, "Oh, and I'm so happy." It's hilarious. Anyway, and I feel that way. I just want to be outdoors. In fact, I wish it was 7 to 8 degrees warmer so I could take a layer off. Just be out there and bask in the sun. And right now there's a layer in the morning. You got an extra long sleeve. And then in the afternoon it's nice. And it's just this nice, beautiful spring weather. This is what we really want. What we do not want is that last frost to come in the end of this month and take that blossom or the small fruit set from your apricots, the peaches, the cherries are in bloom. Plums are waking up right now. So they're starting to pollinate. The bees are busy. And so we don't want those to be exposed to frost, and then that cold takes the blossom away. It looks good. It looks like a good year. So this could be a blockbuster. One thing I can advise you, I was out pruning my roses. I was delayed. Normally I prune my roses back in the month of March. I just was not able to do that. I did it just a few days ago. And what happened was I had that snow. Remember that snow first of March? I was going to prune then, but then we had 2 foot of snow. It was ridiculous. Couldn't even see the bushes. They were all buried. Then it got warm, and the garden center just got so busy. I was here all the time. And so the month of March passed, and I just didn't have time. So I got it done this week. And I think that's okay, folks. If you're a little delayed, and they were full green, they were leafed out, they were ready to go. They weren't budding yet, but the leaves were growing. It's okay to be a little late. With roses especially, I think it's better to be a little late than a little early. You do not want to prune roses back, especially back in the month of January or February. You want to wait until the coldest of the weather's done, that low teens, single digits. That's hard on roses, and it will expose that graft. So most desired roses, hybrid teas, floribundas, grandifloras, they've got a special graft. We'll take a real strong root structure. In fact, we actually have a root underneath our roses that's made for clay soils and alkalinity. So we can take a certain type of root that will now feed that graft, that specific named variety or color of rose. And so we're actually making a rose for this area so it will adapt better. And so it's a special graft. So we'll take that and actually cut an opening to that root and actually graft or splice a specific kind of rose there that will now be a hardy, more robust, more disease-resistant, bigger flowers, better rose for the mountains of Arizona. I mean, that's us. So that's a graft. If you expose that by pruning all the canes back, which have been protecting that inner graft all winter long, if you cut all that back and now it's exposed, if we go down to single digits, it can kill the grafts. It can actually affect the entire plant. It won't kill the rose. The root will come back. But the grafted, desired rose that you bought that plant for, that one, you can lose that. And so that's why you were waiting to really, really prune back roses. I would say the same thing with salvias or autumn sage. You're waiting for that. Certain things, really drought-hardy crepe myrtles, I like to wait. I find I do better. Now, I've done it earlier, but I just find they do a little better if I just wait just a little bit. I'll wait till March because January is still bitter. I mean, it's like biting, killing cold. We are seeing a little bit of death and decay on the garden front from things that rotted last winter. That colds from January through March. Soggy, cold, wet soils. Some plants do not like that. So we're seeing Nandina, of all things. I would not have expected that, but we're seeing many customers coming in with dead Nandinas or heavenly bamboo. That's the common name for that. I think we'll see yuccas, agaves, certain plants. I think salvias could get hit hard. We'll see. They're a little late to wake up. If things aren't waking up yet, be patient. That's the biggest thing I'm giving folks right now. Not everything is pulsating alive at the same time. They wake up at different cycles. So they come out of bed, just like people. There's morning people that love to get up at 4:30. Yay! So look, the sun is rising. Oh, it's so beautiful. This is my favorite part of the day. And some folks are going, what are you morning people? Oh my gosh, you're so cheerful. I just want to, the sheets go over their head, and they're in till 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. If they're teenagers, noon. So they want it to be warmer, but they keep going when the morning folks poop out, they're still going. Plants are just like that. Some want to wake up really early in spring, go, oh, look, oh, spring is right here. It's so exciting. And some are going, it's not summer yet. I want it to be summer. And so these are things like grapes, crepe myrtles, rose of Sharon's, desert willows, all of those summer blooming things, Russian sage. They have zero interest in early spring. They don't care. They don't want to be awake. They don't want to be open. They don't want to be exposed to a cold night. They're kind of like a lizard crawling up on a rock going, just warm my body up. I just want to get the blood circulating. When is it going to be 80 degrees? When is it going to be 90? If it's 100, I'm really happy. Some plants are like that. Your early spring bloomers, they don't like that. They like it like now. So your pansies, they are just happy as could be. They're just they're frolicking in the sunlight in the day and the cold at night. They just love that. And so some plants are really like that. They will not like the summer. So that's when your zinnias, which we don't even have yet, your portulaca. No, we're a month away from having any of those plants here at the Garden Center, at least here in the Prescott Central Basin area. You could probably go down to Phoenix and find those right now. But you wouldn't want to buy those and bring those up the hill and then expose them to our cold nights. They would just suffer and turn off colors, and they might not die, but they won't grow. And you just want to buy things that love the season. You want to work with the seasons you've been given, not against them. And you'll find that your success rate goes up dramatically. Another little quick tip, too, just while I'm on a roll here. So it all started with roses. I'm going, man, I'm really late. My neighbors are going, Ken, you're really late. What you usually get this done? So it's a long process as you chit-chat with folks out pruning your roses by the front street. When I got done, I'd fertilized those with my all-purpose plant food, the 744 fertilizer. That stuff is like magic for roses. It is so good. The cottonseed meal and that particular fertilizer or plant food is just really makes things that bloom. It makes them really happy. I fertilized before that last snow, so that was a month ago. Maybe 3 weeks ago, something like that. Anyway, I fertilized those because I wanted to take advantage of the moisture that we had, and that's good. If you've not done that, please do it now. It's important. But after I got done pruning, what I did is I added a handful for each plant of some super phosphate. This is 018 Superphosphate is all phosphorus. The middle number of your fertilizer, that's what creates blooms. And so anything that blooms in my yard, I just give them a handful. It's like kind of like candy. They just love it. They just pick it all up and go, I'm going to bloom bigger than ever. More buds. It's going to be beautiful. More fragrance. And so our yard, the Lane Casa, is out there where it just goes, wow, look at that color. I can't believe the color. It's so pretty. How does he do that? The way I do it is I fertilize it, and then the things that bloom, I chuck a handful of superphosphate, and that brings more of that flower and blooms. The flower count comes out, the fragrance just makes everything. I'll do that every couple of months or so. Just chuck a handful going, hey guys, keep blooming, keep blooming, keep blooming. superphosphate will make your blooming things over the top. Got a lot of tips, tricks, and advice. Be right back.
You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join him every week for timely garden advice right for the gardens. Visit Ken where he can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
Hi, Waters, with our plants of the week and our flowering Easter baskets.
The garden center is stocked full of these big, bold flowers grown to perfection.
We've grown 200 baskets that mesh, intertwine, and spill with colors.
They make a perfect gift for neighbors, moms, pastors, or a good friend.
Don't forget to treat yourself to spring flowers as well. These locally grown baskets are only available until Easter Sunday and all for under $20.
Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Color your Easter with flowers. Gee, my flowers just bloom too much.
Said no one, ever. Hi, this is Ken at Waters. We had a crazy winter and everyone's ready for flowers in the garden.
Waters Flower Power is made specifically for Arizona that gives flowers that extra boost to burst into bloom.
It's an energy kick in the plants.
Get ready for roses that rule, peppers that pop, and tomatoes that triumph.
More power to the flowers with Flower Power at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
You've been listening to Ken Lane, the Mountain Gardener. Green thumbs learned while working in the Family Garden Center. Now welcome back to the Mountain Gardener.
And we are back with Lisa Waters Lane in the studio. And we are, what's that song? We Are the Survivors this week.
Is that a Queen? That's We Are the Champions.
We Are the Champions. Are we dating ourselves just by saying Queen? I mean, what is that, 70s or something?
No, there was a new movie out.
Well, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, a history movie. Anyway, so we've survived because,
yes.
What do you have, like 8 trucks come in?
Oh.
The ground was moving in the back of the nursery from all these semis. The motor's just going, waiting for the next line. So many plants were coming in.
We try to space them out, but
they all come the same
the
day.
trucking rules, it's like you get a truck when you get a truck. And I think we were buried. But
good.
I have a wonderful crew that got it all out on the floor.
Yeah, we had farms deliver from Utah, Washington, Oregon, California, southern Tucson. New Mexico. They're from everywhere. You got the best farms. The best perennials out of Utah, the best native perennials out of Tucson and New Mexico. Flowers, evergreens out of Oregon. You got. Just who the best are, so you pick off those. We'll take 200 of those geraniums. Those are beautiful. Bring them, and they all land at the same time.
Right.
It was fun though. It's like
it
Christmas.
Is fun.
You get to open up the doors and go, "Oh look, it's so pretty."
As long as they're not spruce trees, we're fine.
Well, yeah.
They were so pokey.
So anyway, this is the question segment, right? So we could go on and on about our lives and how hard we work as small business owners. We put in 180 hours. Actually, we do pretty good.
We do.
I love coming to work.
I do. I really enjoy coming to work. The other day I came in early because I wanted to get some pricing done before anybody else got here.
Yeah.
It was me and Vincent hanging out in the yard. And it was just so quiet. And the birds were singing. And everything smelled so good. It was very peaceful.
Yeah. Therapeutic. I love doing after hours. When you close the doors, you kind of go, and you look, the hummingbirds are floating back and forth. Butterflies are still pretty busy.
Yeah.
So it's just a pleasant place. I love coming to work. I like coming to work with you. Most days.
Okay.
Leave the back door open just in case there's a bad day.
Yeah, there you go.
Some days you seem to need more medication than others.
I need more. I need it.
Garden questions. Go to garden questions.
Oh. Well, okay. Our first one is from Marcia. She has a new home, but the problem, she wants a tree for that new home. The problem is the antelope love to run and play throughout the yard. So she wants to know, is there trees that the antelope will stay away from? Or if not, how does she keep them from harming the trees?
Yeah, that one's, so she's out in the valley areas. So that's pretty common. That's where they roam. And as we build, they seem to be pushed out further and further. But antelope are pronghorns. They're beautiful. They're majestic, but they'll come in early morning and nibble your stuff. So they're just like a deer or cow or elk or some of that kind of stuff. So similar kinds of plants. So in Skull Valley, when we raised our family in Skull Valley, that's up north of Prescott, about 15, 20 miles. We were on a big ranch, big farm. And there we would plant things like walnuts, ash, mulberries. What else? We had Arizona cypress. And the animals, the elk, the deer, they didn't bother those. And I think pronghorns would be the same exact way. What else is out there? Boy, my brain's going blank. Ash, locust, birch, walnuts, mulberries. I'm actually walking through the yard right now from the past. Now, what was planted there? But those are the hackberries, variegated service berries, silverberries, desert willows. Those are all great. The native-looking things, those are things that would do very, very well. Flowering cherries. So there's quite a few you could go with. That's one. Come into the garden center. Let's walk you through, because you actually have more choices than you think you do. What they're going to love to eat, the opposite side of that question, is going to be fruit trees. They just love grazing on the wood of fruit trees, because not only is the fruit sweet, so is the wood, and that's the reason the fruit is so sweet. So you're going to love to strip the bark off and eat that. They're going to love to eat, what else?
Do they
Softwoods.
Do they rub on trees like the deer
can.
do?
The antlers, the males with the velvet on their antlers, they can. Not as much as deer.
Yeah.
They're more prone to that. You hear them stripping off the bark, eating the branches. So those are all some ideas that could probably help you. Another quick trick. We used to wrap, if elk did go after, like they were eating our walnut once, I took bird netting, loosely wrapped it around the trunk, just staple gunned it to the bark, and just ripped off the rest, took a razor blade and cut off the rest. And just sitting there, free floating. Couldn't really see the bird netting, this plastic 1-inch squares that you use to protect fruit with. I thought, I'll just try this. It really did a number at keeping them from stripping that bark off or getting their antlers and rubbing it up against the bark to get the velvet off. They didn't want to mess with that foreign material. They just didn't want to bother with it, so they moved on. Yeah. That would probably really help them as well. So good question. Unusual question. There we go. The Valley, folks. You guys rock. Paulding, Chino Valley, Prescott Valley, Williams, you're all
Okay. Next question is from Lynn. She was in at the garden center and she saw seed potatoes. And she wants to know, what's the difference between buying seed potatoes at a garden center or just running down to the local grocery and buying potatoes?
I would say onions the same way. I mean, any of the garlics, shallots, all those, it's the same. It's the same. What happens is it's all about freshness for as long as you can. So you're going to ship this from the farm. They might ship it from Peru to Mexico, to Southern California, to Yuma. They're shipping produce from all over the planet. It lands in your grocery store, and so they want to make sure it's there for more than just a day. They want it there for the next 10, 12 days. They want it there for several days before it starts to rot, before it starts to decay, before it starts to get bruised. Those bruises that are shipped across country, they want to protect that. So they'll spray them and dip them and put inhibitors on to keep the freshness there. That's so when you take a seed potato from a grocery store, even the organics, you don't know who sprayed what. You cut it and the eye won't come open. What you normally do with a seed potato, it won't happen. It just sits there because it's been dipped, it's been inhibited before it's kept from growing. So a seed potato from a garden center, they've not been processed. They are right from the ground. And they are there ready to start planting in your gardens. There's no growth inhibitors or nothing's there to inhibit freshness. They're for growing plants. That's the main difference. You'll find more harvest, larger potato harvest, larger potatoes coming off of a garden center's potatoes than something from a grocery store. Bottom line.
So how easy is it to grow potatoes here? And how much space do you need to grow
Super
potatoes?
Easy. So any amount of ground. They need drainage. So, I mean, we've had the most success. I love having fresh potatoes for Thanksgiving. I take a grower's pot, any pot, a big squat 15-gallon, 10-gallon, and I'll put the seed potato in the bottom of it, and I'll backfill it with some potting soil. And as that vine grows up, I backfill it with some more and more soil, more and more potting soil is what we use. And when it comes time to harvest, I just take that pot and tip it over, and out spills, 30 potatoes. All from this, from these 3 seed potatoes, I get a bushel basket full of potatoes. And so you can do that. It can be in the ground. Typically, we'll dig a trench in your garden. We'll plant a seed potato, backfill a little bit of soil. And as that vine grows up, you backfill it. And the longer that tendril is, the longer that vine, the more potatoes will come off of that vine. So that's why, excuse me, I got a little tickle from this allergy.
Yeah.
That's a reason that typically potatoes are mounded types of crops. So you're wanting to get more harvest out of that. But locally in small gardens, take an old bucket you got, something you don't like, just reuse it, throw a seed potato in there and grow it. Magical with kids. If you've got kids, you should grow potatoes because it's so easy and fun. Good questions this week. Be right back with Ken and Lisa Lane and the Mountain Gardeners.
You're listening to Ken Lane, a.k.a. the Mountain Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week in Prescott at Waters Garden Center. Listen each week as he answers timely garden questions unique to mountain gardens. Growing up in Prescott, we knew spring was here when my grandmother's lilacs bloomed. I'm Lisa Waters Lane, and my grandmother would be thrilled with the new bloomerang purple lilacs at Waters Garden Center. They don't just bloom once in spring, they bloom again in summer. Mine bloomed 3 times last year, making spring last well into fall, and just $29.99. Come check out all the heavenly new sights and scents that are making this spring the most beautiful ever. Lilacs like Grandma used to grow and better. Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Plants are a lot like puppies. They need care, water, and food.
You wouldn't forget to feed your puppies, so don't forget to feed your plants.
Waters 744 All-Purpose Plant Food is a gourmet meal for your plants.
The only food for Arizona plants with the nutrients they need for big blooms, a hefty harvest, and tremendous trees, all naturally.
It's time to feed your plants with 744 All-Purpose Plant Food from Waters Garden Center in Prescott. You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Join the conversation every week as he answers timely garden questions. Email Ken a question directly from your phone to his desktop through the web at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Now welcome back your host, Ken Lane.
Now we had started the show out with just what I was doing, rose pruning, for a little trick on how to get the more flowers out, ammonium sulfate. Just taking on that, I had a thought. If you want your things that are blue, silver color, Arizona cypress, Colorado spruce, hydrangeas, your rhododendrons, azaleas, your ilex, hollies. If you want to really bring the color out, I mean just rich foliage color, not flower, but foliage color, there's an additive you can also add to your fertilizers. It's called aluminum sulfate. Aluminum, like your car bumper's made out of aluminum. That's why it crashes so easy. Aluminum sulfate. That will be picked up by the plant's root system, and it will actually secrete that and coat the leaves so that your Colorado spruce will truly be silver, not just blue, not a blue Colorado blue spruce. We're talking Colorado silver. I mean, just so intense. That's actually an aluminum coating. And if you take your thumbnail or your just kind of take a real blue colored spruce, rub your finger across that, and what you'll be amazed, it comes right off. It's just a secretion that it throws over that. And really, plants, they're really smart. They're doing that to affect the taste so that when animals graze, kind of walk by and want to nibble on this thing, it's got this secretion on it of aluminum sulfate, and it kind of makes it off-flavored so they just have no interest going, oh, this stuff's nasty. Oh, let's keep moving to the neighbor's yard, eat their green plants, not their blue plants. So it's a defensive mechanism plants have within themselves, within their inner DNA. But you, as a gardener, can front load this and go, here, why don't you just guys go over the top? So some of my evergreens mainly is what I do it with. I'll throw just a little bit of aluminum sulfate. A little bit goes a long way. But if you really want to bring that color out, that's how you do it. It's called aluminum sulfate. We are deep into gardening at this point, how to have certain minerals do certain things to plants. But that's a little insider tip. Superphosphate, 018 makes the flowers bigger, and aluminum sulfate makes the foliage color turn more silver. Now, it's not going to take a greened plant and make it silver. It's not going to change the DNA. What it does is take the inner workings of that plant and help entice it to actually be more, to actually do what it naturally does and just go, here, go grand, go big on it, 40 cents and supersize that. Here we go. That's what aluminum sulfate is. If you've got hydrangeas, I would say the spruce family, anything in the spruce, rhododendrons, boy, does it really work. Azaleas, does it really work? Hollies, those are the main ones I can think of right off the bat. Probably it'd work really well on your really fragrant plants like lily of the valley, daphnes. It'd probably even do really well. I'll try this on my peonies this week. I'll see if that does what it does. It's kind of an experiment. We call it gardening. I'll experiment and see how it works, but I'll take a little bit of aluminum sulfate and just see if it makes the fragrance come out on those. But it's something that can only really help, but it's not going to, it can be a waste if you put it on the wrong plant. You're not going to get the benefit you thought you were going to get. Anyway, that's the insider scoop. I don't know why I think of this stuff, but I'm sure you're tuned in. My name's Ken, and we're just friends. We're neighbors talking across the fence. We're just sharing some garden tips, and this has worked in my yard. It'll probably work equally as well in your yard. Right now, you're thinking, while you're on food, just a caution, just while we're on this whole mineral food stuff, these things are dangerous. So watch your pets and your kids. When you get done, I don't care whether it's Scott's Turf Builder and is a pure chemical, hardcore petroleum-based, like nasty fertilizer. That's what aluminum sulfate, just hardcore chemical. To natural foods, like our food is all natural. The plants will pick it up. It's inert. It's pretty safe. If you spread it out over the yard, it's perfectly fine. It's not going to hurt birds. Your dogs can walk across it. It's okay. It's mainly bird guano and cottonseed meal and things, but if the dog gets in the garden shed and this bag is just sitting there open, free feed, and they have a liking for it and they taste the natural ingredients in this, they can down the entire bag, and all of a sudden you can have dangerous moments with pets or not so much kids because it smells kind of earthy, our food, but watch those pets. Sometimes they get adventurous. So if they down a whole bag of our all-purpose plant food, you can get a phosphorus kick where they can have phosphorus poisoning. So it's only got 4% phosphorus, but if you eat the entire bag, it can be dangerous. And it's a natural ingredient. So I'd say that's really important for like bone meal and blood meal and feather meal. Anything natural and organic, you need to be really careful with. So keep them locked up. Keep them up on the shed, on the top shelf, or keep it out of the reach. Just just be careful with that. I've had a couple customers, dear friends, and it just hurts me when I hear this happen. I've had my own dogs get into the rat traps, and they'd go, I'm hungry. I'm gonna rip this trap apart. And I'm gonna get into the poison. Going, you idiot! What were you thinking? I put them underneath things where they just can't even come close to this stuff. Super cautious with any of these over-the-counter fertilizers, bug killers, poisons, just anything garden related, kitchen related. Just use some common sense and really be over cautious. I think your pets, your kids will be happier. Your husband be happier.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for timely garden advice right for higher elevations. Guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season. Gee, my flowers just bloom too much.
Said no one, ever. Hi, this is Kenneth Waters. We had a crazy winter and everyone's ready for flowers in the garden.
Waters Flower Power is made specifically for Arizona that gives flowers that extra boost to burst into bloom.
It's an energy kick in the plants.
Get ready for roses that rule, peppers that pop, and tomatoes that triumph.
More power to the flowers with Flower Power at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
In a new place, it's difficult to know who to trust, how to get help at the house, and which nursery will simply do what they say they'll do.
At Waters Garden Center, we're here to help, in the landscape at least.
Our team of plant ambassadors know your neighborhood, the plants that add color, increase privacy, and add fragrance and beauty.
And we can show you exactly how to plant locally, or we have teams to do all the work for you.
We are Ken and Lisa Lane, and we guarantee our plants will live up to every promise here at Waters Garden Center. You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening is very rewarding, with a few Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts sure to turn your thumbs even greener. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
And we are back with Lisa Waterslane in the studio. She comes each week, just shares her opinions about gardening, her style, her ideas, sometimes, if you get 10 gardeners in a room and ask them a question, what's the best shade tree for, you're bound to get 12 answers. What's the best deer resistive thing? 15 answers. You're bound to get, I think it's good to have more. Part of the garden fun, social aspect is sharing ideas. And so we bring Lisa in to share ideas. So with that, share.
No pressure. So like you were saying earlier, we've gotten so many trucks in, and we've gotten some cool plants in that we don't always carry year round. So, sometimes you get big loads of plants in, you have them through spring, midsummer, and then they're gone. And if people miss their opportunity, it's gone till the next year. But we've got some really cool plants in that are very drought hardy plants, that are very low maintenance plants. That people are always, they always come in and go, I want an easy care shrub. I want it easy. I don't want to prune it. Don't want it to,
And I want it to be big, instantaneous, and bloom all the time, and evergreen. And
right. Yeah. So, but we've got some really nice ones in that people just probably don't think about or hear about as much, but are just really nice shrubs for this area. The ones that I really, really like is the rock rose. And I don't think it's kind of an understated shrub that I just don't think most people even realize is out there. I put one in our yard, in the front yard last year. I'm going to put 2 more in because we have a big empty spot.
What? Okay.
But the great thing about rock rose is it is crazy drought hardy, especially once it's established. It's just as tough as can be. It is evergreen, actually, which most people like that evergreen, but is so pretty in the early spring when it blooms. And it has there's a dark purple one, there's a light pink one, there's a white with a dark purple center. There's a lot of different colors you can get in it, but when it blooms, it is just profuse throughout the entire plant.
Animals don't eat it. It's knee-high, kind of mounding shrub, evergreen, perfect for a rock lawn that's just boring. You want to soften it up and give it some sort of texture, something that says, welcome home, I'm so glad you're here.
Right.
That rock rose is just a tremendous one for that xeriscape, low water, low main. Get it started, put it on your drip system, and treat it like a tree or something. Water it once a week, good to go.
And it likes a hot spot.
It does. Yeah.
Because I put it in that front bed where it's just toasty up there. It gets full sun all the time. But it's just a really cool plant that most people aren't aware of or think of that much. The other thing we have are the brooms. We have an all gold broom and a Minstead broom. And they're, I guess you'd call them evergreen because the plant itself stays green year round, but it blooms in the spring. The all gold, of course, has the yellow bloom to it. And the Minstead has kind of I would almost call it lilac bloom as well to it.
Like a red purple color?
No, you're thinking of Lena.
Oh, there's too many brooms. The Lena. Who wouldn't love a Lena?
There's a Lena broom, too. I don't have it in right now, but it's really pretty.
Okay.
But and these only get maybe 4 to 5 feet tall. They're a little bit different from the Spanish broom. The Spanish brooms can be very aggressive. They can also start coming up everywhere.
Yeah.
I think they're almost outlawed in some places. But the other brooms are much more better behaved. They're well-mannered. But they're again very drought hardy, but wonderful spring color, and
they're
smell
a shrub
so
that's
good.
kind of like it's a southwestern plant. The leaves are tiny, insignificant. Really, it's like a pencil plant. You folks from the south, you grow them in Florida and stuff. A pencil plant. It looks like a green pencils coming up all over. Thick bush, you can't see through it.
Right.
But then in the spring, it just loads up, and you can't see any foliage or any stems because there are so many fragrant flowers over this entire thing. It fills up the entire landscape with this wonderful, sweet sweet pea kind of fragrance.
Very, very nice. We do have the Spanish broom in too. Now, some people, when it starts blooming, everybody, what's that yellow flower?
I know, yeah. It's an easy sell.
It is. But it is a little bit harder to find. So if you think you're going to want one, now's the time to come in and grab them because they could be gone. We also got a really cool new yucca in. And I know everybody's going, another yucca. Well, this one's called Coral Glow, and it's actually a bigger yucca. So it's going to get 5 foot tall, 5 foot wide.
Neat.
So if you've got a big hole in the yard you need to fill, this one would be beautiful in it. The flower stems that come out on it will reach up to 6 feet tall. So it's going to make a statement in your yard. And it's one of the newer ones. It's really, really pretty. I put one in our daughter-in-law's yard. We'll see how it does. She's in El Paso.
Yeah.
But it should do beautiful there.
And we have a space on the lower part of the yard.
Yeah.
I've got an old broom that just really has struggled. The snow beat it up.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to pull that out, put one of those, and that could be neat. It's like a big shrub. It's a shrub yucca. How beautiful.
Yeah.
That's bigger than a banana yucca or some of the natives. That's spectacular. And a coral, does that mean the flowers are red or are they traditional white? What color do you know the flowers?
They're more of that salmony color.
Yeah,
kind of a little more orangey than that, but very, very pretty.
Zoned for here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So very nice. If you don't want something that big, if you just have a smaller yard, you want something smaller, the brake light yucca is a really nice one to put in because it only gets about 2 foot tall and 2 foot wide. And the flowers on that one are just a dynamic red.
Like
Absolutely
a brake
gorgeous.
light red. So you've got David and you've got Goliath out in the yard. Just put the big one in the back by the fence, put the smaller one up close by the patio, and away you go. You'll have drought hardy. Hummingbirds love those. Butterflies love them. So it's a great little plant for here, and they naturalize so easy.
Oh, they do. Manzanita. That's another terrific evergreen, low maintenance, low water use shrub to put out there. We've in the past had a challenge finding those, but we found a grower for them. The one that I'm really liking out in the yard right now is called Chieftain. And Chieftain has a bigger leaf to it, but they're starting to bloom.
Oh, nice. Oh, I'll go take a look at that. That sounds fun.
Real pretty pink blossoms.
Do they have a fragrance to them? Have you noticed a fragrance?
I haven't, but I think my nose is pretty much shot.
It gets surrounded by the plants.
But I love the pink blooms on them. They're absolutely gorgeous. And the Chieftain, I like that bigger leaf. It's really making a nice standout.
Yeah, sometimes the Howard McMahon or the native varieties that the sleeves are almost too small. Sometimes but it shows off the bark.
Sure.
But they have such a pretty waxy leaf, just evergreen leaf. They're so nice. And that again, that's a natural pollinator for the monarchs that float through, the birds that float through. They use those as a food source as they fly north for the season.
So those definitely got to check those out. And also, I was thinking, shrubs for low maintenance and low water use. Rosemaries and lavenders, I think, are so frequently overlooked, but work so well in that need you have for this low maintenance. Don't want to fuss with it. Don't want to water it a bunch. Takes hot sun. So we got I can't think of the name of it, but it's a silvery gray lavender. It's a Spanish lavender.
Yeah.
It's real silver foliage, and it has the dark purple blooms on it. It is spectacular.
Yeah, usually lavender is more of that gray to blue color. And that one it's almost to the point of white.
Yeah.
And the blue flower that hovers above the foliage is so straight. That foliage color brings out that lavender flower. So I'm sure every one of those would be sold by the weekend. I mean, it's just,
I think
they're so stunning. I mean, I was seeing them on shopping carts already going through, being, that's different. That's new. But there's a lot of English lavenders are the toughest lavenders. Rosemaries, you've got upright varieties and spreading varieties. We've got both types that are hardier, because not all rosemary grows in the mountains. Right. But the ones that do, we've got them here at Waters. That we curated the collection so that it's just, you don't have to worry about, is it the right one? Is it not? Will it grow here? Will it not? It will grow here. It'll be fine. Go for it.
Definitely. So speaking of perennial, I think we have one of the best selections of perennials right now with all the trucks that we got in. We got salvias out the wazoo. We got silver, what's it called?
Artemisia?
Purple ignition.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
The purple ignition salvia. We got that back in. And that's and if you've had the regular red, try the purple.
Great. So lots. Planting season is here, and Lisa and the team is there to help you pick just the right plant in your yard. Ken and Lisa Lane and the Mountain Gardeners will be right back with more right after this.
Look for more tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts through Ken's website. Podcast the show, read his weekly garden column, or follow him on Facebook and Instagram at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com.
Wondering why my garden looks amazing? Well, that's personal. The personal garden shopper service at Waters Garden Center, that is. Before talking with my personal shopper, I had no idea which plants would be best for me. But now my garden is bursting with flowers and buzzing with hummingbirds. Just go to watersgardencenter.com, click on Shop, and choose Personal Garden Shopper. A Waters Garden expert will pick the perfect plants for you, personally. The Personal Garden Shopper, only at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
Hi, Waters with this week's Plant of the Week and our flirty skirt pansies.
No more shy pansies. These blooms beam back at you.
Frilly, cheery, flirty flowers resemble Marilyn Monroe's rippled skirt blowing in a breeze.
She enjoys growing in her inclement weather in a carnival of colors priced at just $7.99, so you can enjoy more than just one.
Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott, where people who love flirty flowers, they love to shop.
Welcome to the Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane. Gardening in the mountains is different. Listen to Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts guaranteed to make your gardens more beautiful than ever this year. Now for better advice that works locally, welcome your host, Ken Lane.
What you will find as you go out in the yard, there's a couple things you need to do. One, it is time to start tuning up your irrigation system. You need to do this much like you do a car. I mean, before you go on a long trip, you take it to the mechanics and you have a tune-up. You check the tires, make sure the oils are all good. Well, your irrigation system needs the same thing. This has been, winter can be hard on a system. First of all, you get vermin, gophers, pack rats, voles. They'll come in, javelina will come in and tear up the system. And so you need to replace heads. Sometimes the elbows, I notice I need to make sure I check where my elbows are. Sometimes water settles in there, it freezes, it expands, and it cracks my elbows. Couplers, not a big deal. Tees, doesn't matter. Sometimes the heads on my emitters will pop off. Again, there's water in there or something happened, and it just pushes that head off of there. Or snails laid eggs inside the orifice, inside that little tip of your drip emitter, and they clogged it up. Well, that was last fall. Now you don't know it, and all of a sudden it's not working. It's not running. And you won't know until June when the plant collapses and dies. You're going, what's going on? It was so happy and healthy. My drip's been on. Well, the dripper hasn't run all season. It just dried up, and now it got up to 90 degrees, and plant dies. So tune up. You need to walk. What I do is I'll turn my system on in the day so I can actually see where the drippers are. And if I do a double cycle, I'll run it manually twice. Now I can walk through and see where the wet spots are. It's enough to saturate the soil. Even a emitter that's under the ground, I can see where that emitter head is. It's especially difficult on hillsides. So watch that. Watch for where the soil's eroded, where there's a hole and it just like runs down the hill. That's another thing. Your irrigation is one thing, but now we've had a lot of snow. We've had the melt, the runoff. You're seeing some hillsides washed away. Your dry wash is filled up. What are some ways that you can secure that hillside? First of all, with the irrigation, never go up and down the hill with your irrigation. It creates some weird pressure patterns. You always want to go across or horizontally across the hill. It evens out the water pressure so you get better or truer drip emission quantities. It's rated for 2 gallons per hour. It'll be 2 gallons per hour. If you go up and down, the top of the hill will be much lower, and the bottom of the hill where the pressure's gathering will be much higher. So go across the hill. When you're planting, well, like if you had our planting crew come out for you, we would not try to dig a great big divot in the side of this hill. We would actually try to plant it sideways. We'd tip that plant so it actually is growing with the slope of that hill. So it looks like it's just popped out of the hill. And then we would take that drip irrigation, we put it at the top side of the root ball so that it drips down and into that root so it looks more natural. So many times I see folks trying to dig a flat spot into this huge hill and they're trying to plant a plant. I'm going, oh, you've got drip. Why are you doing that? Just plant it sideways. Plant it within the slope, with the same direction, the same slope of that hillside, and put the drip emitter on top of the root ball. It's much easier to plant. It looks more natural, and the plant will be happier. Those are a couple things that will really help out. Plants really hold the roots in, especially plants with a large, aggressive root structure. They will hold years after those plants have died. The roots are still there holding that hillside in. They will not wash away with plants in there. And some of the best local plants you can put into a hillside, a slope, is low creeping things. Some of the most popular are going to be things like cotoneaster. There's several low growing, I really like Coral Beauty cotoneaster. Eichholz is another one. There's several that we have here. Cranberry. There's it's an evergreen shrub that grows maybe less than knee high, ankle high to knee high, just spreads out. So one plant will cover an 8 or 10 foot wide space. One plant, big open space, and the root structure will equal or mirror the top growth. These are great plants. Another one is junipers. We use a lot of low-growing junipers. It's a native plant. It naturalizes well. Animals don't eat them because they don't like the flavor. They think it tastes like a big alligator juniper. It smells like a juniper, looks like a juniper, is a juniper. Don't eat this thing. Keep walking on. So they're not going to bother them. And they're just robust. Again, one plant. You take a low-growing carpet juniper. It only gets 4 inches, blue in color. There's a blueberry. It's real pretty. It's about 6 inches tall and spreads out about 6 to 8 foot wide. One plant, 6 to 8 foot wide, and the roots match that, just holding that hillside in place. It's a great way. Looks good and really healthy. Lowers the temperature of your yard. It keeps the soil from sunburning. There's a lot of positives to that. But those are some really great plants. Euonymus is a great one. I've got a native manzanita called knick-knick. That's the common name, knick-knick. It's actually a manzanita that grows 2 inches high and spreads out. Each one plant will spread out of knick-knick. One plant maybe 5 to 6 foot wide. So you just put them across the hill, plant them like they look natural, growing into the hill, and you put that drip emitter on top and water it once or twice a week. And away you go. This thing just spreads out and fills in and holds that hill in place and gets rid of those. An empty hillside just looks bad. It just looks bad. Gathers weeds. It starts to erode. You see the boulders, the rocks. Here's a bit of advice. I just helped a customer. They were they have a rock face. So their lot, they dug into the hill and they had this rock in there. Very steep. Their neighbors above them on top of that. Very tight yards. They walk out their back patio and staring them in the face is this huge rock wall. I'm going, whoa, that's rough. That's a hard one to recover from. No one's going to like to visit you. It feels like I'm in a prison or a cave. How can we do this? So what we did, it was too steep to actually plant into the side of that hill. So there we got them some pink lemonade, honeysuckle. And we planted those at the downhill base. And we're going to train those. We'll plant them. Once they're planted, we'll take the stake off, the poles that they're trained up with. We'll fan those tendrils out, the vines. We'll spread that out. We'll encourage this thing to grow up the hillside. Not only that, but we put a few other things. For this one, I actually put a honeysuckle, a trumpet vine, a Virginia creeper, a kebia, and what else? I forget. Anyway, I help so many customers. It's hard to help. So many designs go through my head. But we made it garden-esque. When these things grow in, it's going to look beautiful. It's going to feel like a Costa Rica tropical backyard patio when they get done. So we just need to encourage these vines to grow up. That's another secret. If you got the same thing on your town hillside, you can plant vines at the top end and force them to train down. Now, vines naturally want to grow up, but you can actually plant it, take the stake off, separate the tendrils, the vines, and then pin them down into the ground, forcing them to grow down. It's a little bit more work because they naturally want to grow up, but you can train a vine to grow down just as quickly as you can train a vine to grow up a hillside as well. But either way, if you can't get onto that hillside to plant, there are other techniques we can help you with. Well, it would really be helpful when you come into the nursery, give us how tall is that thing so we know which plant can actually optimize and grow up that tall. Some things can't. I helped another customer. He had this long walkway beside his house. So he's got the garage, and then there's a fence, big block wall. It's like 5 foot, 6 foot from the wall to the fence. I mean, it's just tight. He's got this big bay window looking at this wall. He's going, "It's horrible, Ken. Help me. What's going on?" He wanted to soften this so it looked better from inside, but then it felt better as you walked through. That one, we put trellis. There were 3 trellises. We just put, again, a honeysuckle on each of the trellis. And for them, I said, here, plant a clematis and a honeysuckle together. Have them grow through the same trellis. So the honeysuckle will fill and soften that wall. But honeysuckle has this bloom cycle that's really nice, and then it kind of fades. It's really interesting to have clematis pop through with this huge flower that's the size of your hand, just popping through this other vine. It makes it really interesting when they commingle like that. Clematis by itself, rather unimpressive. It's a weak vine, but the flowers are unbelievable. But the honeysuckle, the foliage is great, but the flowers are really small. So if you plant them together and they commingle, it's like design magic. They're going to be so happy at the end of this runway when they get done. 3 matching honeysuckles, 3 different clematis as he walks down the side of his house. It's going to be beautiful. Be right back.
You're listening to local garden expert Ken Lane, the owner of Waters Garden Center. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center, located in Prescott at 1815 Iron Springs Road. Thanks for tuning in to The Mountain Gardener. Gee, my flowers just bloom too much.
Said no one, ever. Hi, this is Ken at Waters. We had a crazy winter and everyone's ready for flowers in the garden.
Waters Flower Power is made specifically for Arizona that gives flowers that extra boost to burst into bloom.
It's an energy kick in the plants.
Get ready for roses that rule, peppers that pop, and tomatoes that triumph.
More power to the flowers with Flower Power at Waters Garden Center in Prescott. I remember as though it was yesterday. Should we be open Sundays or not? The revolution came after a church social. After the fellowship, a friend was heading to the box store to get some plants because Waters wasn't open. Sunday was his only day to garden that week, just like it was yesterday. Waters Garden Center. It's open on Sunday from 9 to 5 with plant experts ready to advise on any subject. My name is Ken Lane, owner of Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road, here in Prescott.
You've tuned in to The Mountain Gardener with local garden expert Ken Lane. Join him each week as he answers timely garden questions that are sure to make a difference in your gardens. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
I have a big shout out. What was that? On Thursday night, went over to Augie's Restaurant here in Prescott, and I had a after hours kind of social mingle thing with the B&I networking group. So Business Network International, a bunch of small business owners. These are little mechanics and plumbers and accountants and garden center owners getting together and just trying to help each other. So we're all over a beer and chit-chatting or iced tea or whatever. And so you guys were fun. Thanks for inviting me out to that. That was fun. Small business owners, you just can't do it by yourself anymore. You need friends. The economy is too complicated. There's too many moving parts. How do you get accounting and marketing and social media and vendors and employees? Just how do you make this all work? You can't just have a great spaghetti sauce recipe and go, yeah, you'll love my spaghetti. To my Italian friends, it's totally offensive. I apologize, but you know what I'm getting at. You can't just love plants and go, I'll open a plant shop and they will come. That is not true anymore. They won't come. The marketplace is so competitive that you need to have friendships. You need to have connections. In a small town, we call that the Insiders Club. And the way you get on the inside, you just go meet people and you make friends. And so we've been around for Waters Garden Center 57 years. We opened up in 62. This has been our philosophy since day one. The person with the most friends wins. Bottom line. I mean, church friends, that's great. Rotary friends, Lion friends, Kiwanis friends, that's great. To have docent friends, museum friends, theater friends, that's great. To have B&I business friends, chamber friends, being connected, involved with your community, making a difference in nonprofits, going for those friendships. People want to do business with a friend. We're tired of these huge companies, no-faced. Maybe my plumber that was put out of business by the big mega behemoth business is now, get paid $14 an hour to talk plumbing all day long, but really had a real job before and it was really doing well. I mean, we're tired of that. We want our paper office products to come from a local company that has a friend. Our kids can go play soccer together. We want to go have an accountant that's not in Arkansas or Atlanta or some mega off the Cayman Islands. We want to have someone that's right here in town. They do our taxes. I just get my taxes done. Marion over at eBarb Accounting. Now you know. They've been doing my taxes forever. I love her. She's a genius. I mean, she's here. She's one of us. I know her husband. She just had a birthday. Her dog just had issues. We're praying together. I mean, these are neighborhood. These are friendships. These are things that make a difference. And that's what I love about B&I or chamber things, or because it's small, it's intimate, it's us. And wow, just got on my soapbox. All I just wanted to say was, hey, shout out. Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me. Oh my God. We hire neighbors. We love hiring customers here at Waters Garden Center. They're garden nerds. They come in all the time and go, hey, Kevin, want a job? So sure, that'd be great. Can I take off when the grandkids come and can I still play the golf game? Yeah, that would be great. Come on down. Another insider tip. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't share this, but Mayor Mangarelli. Now, generally I don't get involved with politics, but Greg's a friend. I mean, true friend. We go back years. He's coming to get signatures here at the Garden Center this Saturday from 9 till about, maybe 10 till about 2. This in the morning. So if you want to come talk to the mayor, give him a signature if you're in the town of Prescott. They had to have so many signatures, hundreds and hundreds, before they can get on the ballot, help him out, talk to him, express your concerns, give your praise, whatever. Generally, I don't touch politics, but he's a friend and asked if he can come in and just get signatures. Said, sure, come meet the mayor this Saturday from 9 to about noon or so. I don't know when he's going to leave. Okay, that's it for this show. Until throughout the week, Lisa and I camp out here at Waters Garden Center. Come say hi. Hi, Waters, with our plants of the week and our flowering Easter baskets.
The Garden Center is stocked full of these big, bold flowers grown to perfection.
We've grown 200 baskets that mesh, intertwine, and spill with colors.
They make a perfect gift for neighbors, moms, pastors, or a good friend.
Don't forget to treat yourself to spring flowers as well. These locally grown baskets are only available until Easter Sunday and all for under $20.
Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Color your Easter with flowers. Gee, my flowers just bloom too much.
Said no one, ever. Hi, this is Ken at Waters. We had a crazy winter and everyone's ready for flowers in the garden.
Waters Flower Power is made specifically for Arizona that gives flowers that extra boost to burst into bloom.
It's an energy kick in the plants.
Get ready for roses that rule, peppers that pop, and tomatoes that triumph.
More power to the flowers with Flower Power at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
If you want a more fruitful garden, increased success in your landscape that just feels better, then tune in every week to The Mountain Gardener. Years of tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts are guaranteed to make your gardens nicer than ever. Listen to this podcast or read Ken's weekly garden column by visiting watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Thanks for tuning in.